Now, real people, real opinions. Nighttime talk with Niall Boylan.
Ireland's classic hits radio.
By the way, if you ever want, any dilemma kind of hashed out on the air, because we always find it fun to do that anyway, because we love hearing people's opinions. Don't forget, you can send your emails. You can send them directly to AJ, which is aj.walsh@classichits.ie. Or indeed, by the way, you can just send them to Niall Boylan Show or Niall Boylan at classichits.ie. We'll get them either way. Don't worry about it, all right? And just send us an email and, with whatever it is you want us to talk about. And we shall surely do it, like this one we have here. And I'm going to read out to you now. Hi, Niall. I had a really uncomfortable incident last week. When I was out for dinner with my husband, there was a woman at a table close to us who was blatantly breastfeeding her child. How dare she? Blatantly blessed. I mean, when you say blatantly, I mean, what other way is there to do it apart from, get them out? Anyway, I say blatantly because she made no effort whatsoever to cover up. While I fully support breastfeeding and have done so myself, I believe there are boundaries that should be respected in public spaces. I fed my 2 children until they were 3 months old and only did so in my home or a designated breastfeeding room. I don't see why you would do something like this in a public space and make everyone else feel really uncomfortable. This woman that I witnessed was breastfeeding a child who appeared to be significantly older than a newborn, closer to a 1-year-old, to be honest with you, which was bad enough. But she chose not to cover up, which created an awkward atmosphere for everyone just trying to eat their meal. No one knew where to look. I understand that breastfeeding is a very natural act, but I believe it is important to consider the setting and the feelings of others. A degree of decorum can go a long way in ensuring that everyone feels comfortable and respected. Can you talk about this in your show, please? As I would be interested to hear the opinions of others and what they think. Regards, Catherine. Oh, yeah, thanks for that, Catherine. Incidentally, it was National Breastfeeding Week last week, coincidentally enough, and a week aimed at encouraging and increasing numbers of mothers breastfeeding. Now, the Fine Gael Senator Barry Ward has said that breastfeeding must be normalised in public spaces and that men play a vital role in this shift by supporting partners, relatives and colleagues in public breastfeeding. But here we have a woman who has breastfed herself and she's outraged that a woman would dare to breastfeed in public and show the nipple, so to speak. Wasn't there a campaign years ago for breastfeeding? #free the nipple. Do you remember that one? Anyway, and incidentally, by the way, the World Health Organization recommends exclusive breastfeeding up to 6 months of age and then to continue beyond 2 years of age. 2 years. Who did have teeth and everything? Jesus. I seen, was a Time magazine there going back a while ago. They had a woman who was breastfeeding an 11 or 12-year-old and she was kind of standing up breastfeeding off her mother, and I thought, that's a bit awkward. Anyway, so I don't know what you think. Is our listener right? Should this woman have covered up or gone, maybe gone home to feed her child, or maybe timed it better? Because, look, I obviously have never breastfed, but surely maybe women who have breastfed can come on and let us know. Surely you can time it. You know what I mean? And, there's a way of doing that. Or, you can use a pump or whatever, earlier on, and bring milk with you. Or maybe you just want to do the natural thing all the time. I don't know. But surely you can time it, that you don't have to do it. Like you plan your day and you say, I'm going to a restaurant. AJ is nodding her head and to the window over here. She's obviously been through this. I mean, you can time it that, I'm going to a restaurant at 4 o'clock, so I'll pop the baby on the boob there before I go. And then should they be grand, and then I'll pop them on the boob when I get back again. AJ, this is just not working for you, is it at all? No. I'll come to you in a minute anyway. Or should we just normalise breastfeeding in public, like Senator Barry Ward has stated? Let me know what you think, by the way. Is there anything wrong with, breastfeeding blatantly, as she says, blatantly in public? Let me go to Maureen first if I can. Maureen, hi, how are you?
Hi, Niall, how are you?
Good. By the way, if anyone wants to WhatsApp, they can. 087 188 0008. That's 087 188 0008. Maureen, is Catherine wrong here? Is she out of order?
Yeah, she is.
Oh, okay. Why?
Why didn't she could just have turned away, couldn't she? Minded her own business.
Well, yes and no, I suppose. From a male perspective, it can be a little bit uncomfortable. You don't know which way to be looking, you know what I mean?
No.
Yeah.
Every man and woman knows what breastfeeding is.
Yeah.
And babies are not. You just can't feed them, especially if you're breastfeeding. You just can't feed them on spec. Feed them before you go out and feed them when you go home. That's not how it works.
Is it not?
And if people aren't happy with it, Well, they just get on with your meal. But the thing is that people just seem to, I use the word gawk, and then complain.
By the way, can I just point out, I'm on your side here, but just for the purpose of the debate, obviously I'm taking a neutral position. So, I mean, from a man's point of view, I suppose men see breasts for a different purpose. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, secondary genitalia from a sexual, they see it from a sexual point of view. So men feel awkward, if there's a woman sitting at a table next to them and they're sitting with their wife or their girlfriend and some girl pops out her boob in the middle of the restaurant. Men feel a bit uncomfortable. Well, some men feel a bit uncomfortable with that.
Well, then that's tough, isn't it? They can just suck it up as far as I'm concerned.
Pardon the pun.
Yeah, pardon the pun. But I've heard of women being asked to take their child into a toilet. I mean, would I take my dinner, or would anyone else take their dinner and sit in a toilet seat?
No, but
and eat their dinner?
No, probably not.
Of course they wouldn't.
Yeah, but I suppose what they're indicating is that maybe you take them to somewhere more appropriate. You know what I mean?
They're with their family.
There was a big story. Okay, well, there was a big story there about 4 years ago. I remember we covered it on the show at the time, and it was the Hilton Hotel, I think, or the Savoy or something in London, right? And a woman was outraged because she was breastfeeding, and she didn't use a shawl. So the concierge came over to her. She was in the lobby, and he said, "Ma'am, you wouldn't mind just using a shawl while you're breastfeeding, so as not to make other people feel uncomfortable." And she went bonkers, bizarre, and she lost the rag, and she organised a big protest of 20 women all breastfeeding outside the place the following week to make a point. And it was all over the papers. And all he did was ask her just to use a bit of decorum in the lobby of a hotel.
Yeah, but I'll tell you something. You see adverts on television there. I'm going to say now that we'll say African tribes.
We're not in Africa.
Yes. No. But you'll see it advertised, but you won't see anybody complaining about that shouldn't be on the television, and they should be covering up as well. Look at the state of them. You won't see anything about that.
Yeah, but in Africa, some of the tribes in some, hidden places in Africa run around in the nip, but we don't run around in the nip. This is the Western world. We're different. It's a cultural thing, isn't it?
They feed their children the same way as women here feed their children. And if people are upset about the most natural thing in the world, then there's something wrong with them. Why can't they just turn around, eat their meal, and let the woman get on with feeding her child?
She says in the email, while I fully support breastfeeding and have done so myself, I believe there are boundaries that should be respected in public spaces. Is there anything wrong with that?
Yeah, there is, because she's laying down what a woman can and cannot do when she wants to feed her child. I am all for breastfeeding your child. I don't care whether you wear a shawl or whether you don't wear a shawl. If you've got to feed your baby, even if the woman was sitting next to me, I would take no notice of her. I'd carry on, and I'd say, be in my own mind, and I'd turn around and I'd say to the woman, "But fair play to you."
Did you breastfeed your children?
No, I didn't breastfeed mine. I couldn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, some women
so
just
I had
can't.
To go on I had to go on use the bottle.
Right, okay.
But if I could have, I'd have been doing the same thing. And to hell with anybody. And if anyone said anything to me, they'd be told where to go.
Yeah, but there's a way. I mean, I've seen women breastfeeding on numerous occasions. They might lift their jumper or whatever. There's a kind of way of doing it and, using a level of decorum. But I seen another girl then last week in the middle of town. She was standing at a bus stop and she had a baby. And it was like very, very obvious what she was doing. And it was just very blatant in the middle of a bus stop. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong in thinking that she should use a level of decorum.
I don't know why. I don't think so, because she
was quite a well-endowed woman, by the way.
She's not doing anything wrong. She is doing what she needs to do, feed her child. It's as simple as that.
Okay, well, hang on.
That's the way I look at it.
Well, let me just bring... This should be interesting. Let me just bring Steve in as well. Steve.
Having a wank is one of the most natural things in the world, but I'm not going to be doing it in a restaurant.
There's a big difference in satisfying yourself now with masturbation and feeding a child with the greatest respect.
Well, yeah, one is to satisfy the child and the other is to satisfy yourself, Niall. But I'm not going to whip it out in the middle of a bleeding restaurant or IKEA and start doing it. I mean, Look, I understand where Maureen's coming from. Of course it is one of the most natural things in the world to do. I get it. But you need to have a bit of decorum because liberalism has gone too far. I'm going to whip me norks out everywhere I go and, you don't have a say in it whatsoever. You're not allowed to be disgusted anymore. If you're sitting in a restaurant and next of all someone whips or whaps out in front of everybody, and starts feeding the child, it's embarrassing for people.
But is that not your problem then? I'm sorry, I'm just taking both sides of the debate here. So that's your problem. If you're feeling uncomfortable, then it's your problem, isn't it? Not hers.
Absolutely, but it would be equally if she was uncomfortable, if I start having a wank in the middle of the restaurant.
Don't be comparing, masturbation to breastfeeding.
Why?
Because it's a completely
different.
It is the most natural thing in the world. But hold on for a second, and so is having a pee. But you're not going to do that in the middle of a restaurant either. You go to the bathroom.
Exactly.
Yeah, go to the bathroom if you want to do something like that. But okay, so don't compare the two. One is feeding a child. You know what I mean? Because I think it's quite creepy that you've compared the two.
I'm quite aware what breastfeeding is feeding a child. But again, it's about decorum. Look, liberalism has gone too far. You have women over in the UK who are going into government and whipping their waps out on TV, feeding children.
But she did that to make a point in Parliament.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is the thing, Niall. A lot of these women are doing it to make a point. You can bottle feed a child, or do you know what you can do? You can pump.
Express milk,
out. Yeah, when you go out, then you can feed the child if the child is crying. Or wait until you get home, because I can guarantee the child's not going to starve to death in a couple of hours.
I don't know. You have one child already, so you're well aware of what it's like when you have a baby. Exactly. They have to be fed on demand. In other words, and usually every 4 hours.
No, hold on a second. You can get a child into a routine. They don't have to be fed on demand every time they cry. There's a thing called a dodie. You just put it in the child's mouth.
Stop. That's not the way it works. You've only got one child. You didn't look after it.
No, yes, I did, but it's not exactly like I was breastfeeding, because that would be fucking creepy. Of course not. but I did.
Then what if they use? There is clothes that women have nowadays with little zips on them and shawls and this kind of carry on. Is that okay?
Go home and do it. Niall, let me ask you a question, genuine question.
Yeah.
Let's say you're a 22-year-old man. You're a new daddy. And your little baby, you're like, oh, love, let's go out and do a bit of shopping today. And she goes, sweetheart, I'll tell you what, you bring our precious baby out shopping today and I'll stay at home. I have stuff to do. And you go, fantastic. What are you going to do if the child starts crying? You're going to go home to feed the child, because that's where the bottle is. It's at the boob.
You bring a bottle with you.
Yeah, but the point being is, Niall, you're going to have people.
You're not. No, hold on for a second.
No, wait.
I need to correct what you just said, because I've done that. Hold on. I've brought the baby into town, and my wife stayed at home or whatever. And when the baby was young, if I had the baby on my own, you bring a bottle with you.
Exactly.
You don't wait till you get it. The baby's not going to wait till you get home.
Niall, twist for a second. Exactly, that is my point. So if you can bring a bottle with you, why not do that in the first place? Instead of going into a restaurant where you're going to get dirty looks from people, where people are going to go, Jesus, look at the areolas on your woman over there. I mean, put them away.
So, Maureen, well, there you go. Wait till you get home, or express milk and keep it in a bottle. But there's no need to take them out in the middle of a restaurant.
No, why should they? They chose to breastfeed. Why go somewhere else then? They chose to breastfeed their child, and I'll tell you something. These are real women. These are the real feminists, not those fake feminists out there. No, I won't stop. They have every right to feed their child when their child gets hungry.
And I equally have every right to be disgusted.
Well, you can be disgusted away. Well, don't look then. You avert your eyes.
Okay,
if they're sitting down at the table... If they are sitting down at the table with a family and their child is hungry, they have every right to feed their child.
Absolutely, Maureen. But here's the thing, Maureen, hold on a second. Here's the thing. You're coming from a female perspective, which I get, I understand, more power to the women and all that. But take it from a man's perspective, where it is uncomfortable. Because if you were sitting at a bus stop and some lad was fiddling with himself, you'd immediately go, oh, Jesus, what's he doing? You'd be uncomfortable. Equally, when a woman takes out their biddies, which are sexual, you're going to go, oh my God, this is embarrassing. So take it from a man's perspective as well here. It's not a nice thing to see for them.
What do you mean it's not a nice thing to see? I mean,
I
think
mean,
no, hang on. To see a baby being fed by a woman is a wondrous thing. It's nature at its best.
Shut up, Niall.
No, but
You're being a weak
no, I do understand the point that you're making, that it can be a bit uncomfortable sometimes. But to suggest that it's not a nice thing to see is a bit ridiculous.
A bit, Niall. You can be in the middle of eating your beef stroganoff, and all of a sudden a woman 6 feet away is ripping out her whaps. It's not, and I know it's not funny, but that's the truth. It will make you terribly uncomfortable. Have you seen it, Niall?
Have you seen
a woman in close proximity?
Yes.
Where you can literally see what's happening?
Yes.
Does it make you uncomfortable? Does it make you uncomfortable?
I'll be honest with you. Years ago, probably maybe a little bit uncomfortable. But here's the thing. I realise that's my issue, not theirs.
Okay, that's not the question I asked, Niall.
Yeah.
I'm asking you, does it make you feel uncomfortable?
Not now, it doesn't. No, it wouldn't bother me.
You lawyer. You absolute lawyer. I guarantee if some woman whipped it out, you'd be going, oh my God.
Let me go to Angela. Stay there for a second.
If men might think with their brain instead of their other organ when it comes to breastfeeding children, they'd be better off.
Yeah. Angela, hi.
True.
Jesus Christ, what is this world coming to when I am agreeing with Steve?
Hi, Angela.
Oh, Jesus.
Hi, Steve.
Well,
The
as a
world-
woman, Angela, you're agreeing with Steve. As a woman about breastfeeding. This is like a conversation I would have had 30 years ago on the radio and expected this kind of conversation, but not from a modern woman in the year 2024.
What is this world coming to? There is absolutely nothing wrong with breastfeeding your child out in public. Just throw a bloody shawl over yourself. What is the big deal with that? Why is it such? Why? What are you trying to prove to the world? That you
You're
are
not trying to prove anything. No,
breastfeeding?
you're not trying to prove anything. You're just breastfeeding. You're not proving anything.
Exactly. So why not cover up? Why not? Like, Maureen's sitting there saying, oh, come here, it's the most natural thing. Yeah, we all know it's the most natural thing. I don't need to be sitting, having food, and have a woman with her boobs out across the way from
Why?
me
Does it put you off your
with a
food?
child. It's just, and it would. It actually would.
What? Seeing a
don't want
woman's
to.
boob would put you off your food.
Yeah, I don't need to be sitting there eating my food, seeing a
Would you not
woman's
go,
boobs.
Sorry, Angela, can I just put in there for
I
a second?
go,
Angela, can I just ask Niall a quick question there? Niall, if you were eating your food and a lad whipped out his Mickey, would you go
Would you stop out of that?
Would you go off your food? Would you go off your
I would
food?
kick the shite out of him.
Exactly.
That's not the same. Would you stop using that analogy? It's not the same
hold
thing.
Hold on a second. It is the same thing.
To do.
Oh,
It is a natural thing to do.
now hold on, hang on. A woman is not taking her knickers off. She's just taking her boob out and feeding a child.
Okay. Niall,
A lad
you
is
were
not taking his
sitting
jocks
there
off.
having dinner. You were sitting there having dinner, and over in the corner, you see a fella fiddling with a girl. It's the most natural thing to do.
Fiddling with a girl.
Do it in public.
Yeah.
What do you mean fiddling with a girl?
Yourself. What?
What do you mean fiddling with a girl?
You can see under the table the hand is fiddling there away. That's the natural.
Maureen, help me out here. I can't believe this pair, are comparing sexual acts with breastfeeding.
I can't either. I find that quite shocking. No, to be honest with you, I find that quite shocking.
It's a natural thing to do, is it not?
So is breastfeeding a natural thing to do?
Yeah, so
The
cover
child
up.
has to eat as well. Some
girls
women
do it
do
hard.
use a shawl. Some women do. Some women don't. And if they don't want it, that's their prerogative. They
Well,
are
no,
feeding their child, and
But
if it
then
turns
why-
somebody off in a
but
restaurant,
why
I
should
suggest
I
that you
have
avert
to
your
sit
eyes.
there? Why
There's
should
nobody
I
asking
have
you to sit there.
Maureen, you can try and talk over me as much as you want.
But you talk over
shouting
everybody
at me
else.
is not good. Hold on. You've had your 15 minutes now before I came on.
So have you,
were
really, in
asking
fairness.
a question. Do you know what I mean? I am trying to tell you that I do not want to sit there and see a woman with her boob out and a child being fed. You're saying
get up and-
it's so easy.
Well, get up and leave.
You're telling me to look away, Maureen. I'm telling her to cover up.
No, you look away and you mind your own business.
No,
It's her child.
Let her cover
You look
up.
away. Well, look away, eat
Let
your
her
meal.
cover
It's her
up.
baby. And if you know, why
It's my
should she?
mouth. It's my
If you're the
mouth
one
and
that
it's
has
my
no,
food, Maureen.
if you're the
Yeah,
one
but
that
Angela, I might want to see you chewing or masticating, as they call it. I might not want to see you chewing. So why don't you go home and eat your food and not do it in public and cover up your mouth while you're eating, by the way?
Well, if she doesn't want to see me doing that, don't go to a fucking restaurant.
Yeah, well, if you don't want to see her feeding her baby,
Niall,
don't go to a
Niall,
restaurant.
Niall,
There's a difference,
Niall, hold on.
Niall. No,
Angela's
now
not
you
masticating at the
now
end
you
of a
messed
nipple.
up. Now you messed up. I go to a restaurant to be fed. You do not bring a child to a restaurant for you to feed it.
Well, you do, but different women. I mean, what would you do, for example, if a woman took a baby out in a restaurant and started feeding it with a bottle? You wouldn't have a problem with that, would you?
Okay, what would you do? The most natural things now, right? The most natural things on the planet. Are we talking about that? Okay, what would you do if you were sitting there having food and she decides to change her shitty nappy on the table?
Well, that would be vile.
Exactly.
No one's going to do that. Although somebody did that years ago in a bar I was in. No, but hold on. But no one's going to. The smell is atrocious. No one's going to do that. Now you're being stupid, Angela.
Natural thing, no.
Would you stop out of that? No, that's people just use their common sense. So no one's going to change a nappy in a restaurant.
Yeah. It's a liberal world now.
It's a natural thing.
It's not the same as breast. Last week, come on, lads, ladies. Last week was World Breastfeeding Week, where they're trying to encourage women around the world to breastfeed. And Ireland has the lowest rate in Europe and the EU of breastfeeding, by the way.
Sake.
But and here's the thing. By the way, can I just point out to both you, and we all know this, it's scientifically proven. Breast is best, as they say.
There's
in other words,
nobody complaining about that, Niall. Do you not get that? You want to breastfeed your child? Happy days. It has enzymes. It's perfect, for the baby. Blah, 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 blah. You just don't need to do it in front of me. Very simple.
Just cover up. Just throw a shawl over. That's all it is. A little scarf. It's not going to weigh too much. It's not going to take up a lot of space in your handbag. You can get a lovely little shawl, a very light one, that will cover your child.
okay, hold on for a second. I just want to bring Niamh on. I feel there's trouble ahead. Niamh, I'm gonna. Niamh, she's telling me to go to a break, but I don't know if I can withhold the suspense. Go for it, Niamh. Go on, go for it.
Go, Niamh, go.
I just find it ironic that most men, Steve, you're an exception to this rule. Most men spend their adult lives dying to see a pair of breasts. Put a baby in front of it and they're offended. Come on, seriously.
Yeah.
They're not doing it. They're not there with the photographer. It's not page 3. You would see more of the boob on an episode of Love Island. The child's head covers most of it. As for the areola, Steve, that's in his mouth. You can't see that. Don't be worrying.
So why not just put a shawl over?
We don't really know. I get the impression from this email, first of all, she was incredibly judgmental. And second of all, I got the impression she was more worried about her husband having a look than anything else.
Well, I don't know. It's about her husband. No, all she said was to use a bit of decorum.
Yeah.
She said a degree of decorum would go. Okay, but hang on. She said a degree of decorum can go a long way in ensuring everyone feels comfortable and respected in this situation.
Yeah, a little bit.
The child needs to be fed. The child is latching on. We don't know. And in fairness, we weren't there. We don't know how exposed this woman was. This could be completely blown out of all proportion. The child's head covers most of the boob. You see, back off.
Niamh, do you know what, Niamh?
Now, Niamh, in all fairness.
Yeah, and regardless whether this is being blown out of proportion or not, there are plenty of women in public who are breastfeeding their children who do not cover up, who make an awful lot of people uncomfortable, and they're given no thought to that other person. And I think for decorum, perhaps they should just use a shawl, cover themselves up.
Well, I think for decorum then, Steve, maybe... Why don't, well then for decorum, why don't we ban all women going topless on beaches? Because that could offend somebody.
Yeah,
God,
bit of decorum.
Somebody's eyes are offended. Have a bit of decorum.
Yeah, Angela, you went topless on a beach in Spain. Have a little bit of decorum, Angela.
It's a ridiculous argument.
Topless the whole time.
Yeah, well then why don't you put a shawl on you?
Well then you've just lost the argument because it's hypocrisy.
Can I just say, when I am going topless on the beach, there is nobody sitting down next to me having a beef stroganoff, right?
Exactly.
He nearly choked at me tea there.
Exactly.
But Niall, there's a time and a place. Do you not agree? There's a time and a place for things. On a beach, whip them out if you want to. Absolutely. Go nuts. Tan them up. Put a bit of oil on them.
In a restaurant in Spain topless. I would not...
Okay, Niamh, just to take their argument very quickly before I go into the break, and I'm going to hold you all through the break, but just to take their argument, you know, that a bit of decorum, use a shawl, it avoids the uncomfortableness. I get it. You know, some people feel uncomfortable. I personally believe that's their issue, not the woman's issue. But are they not right in saying that, you know, that a little bit of decorum?
I think 99% of women know that already. You know, they know that they're not just sheltering themselves. The shawl covers the baby as well, so the baby can relax and maybe drift off to sleep. 99% of women do that. But
the woman I saw at the bus stop last week didn't do that, in fairness.
Yeah, 1% are making a statement.
Where I used to go to Mass, she didn't do it either. At the top of the church, she used to whip it out, and there you go.
At the top of the church?
The top of the church. As soon as I'm sitting here, my God, strike me dead.
Actually, my mother wouldn't even go to church without a scarf on her head. She'd be horrified. Niamh, Angela and Steve, stay there. I want to come to Josh after the break as well. Keep texting, keep WhatsApping. The number's 087 188 0008. Would you have an issue with somebody breastfeeding very openly in front of you in a restaurant? Would that bother you at all? Let me know what you think. The number is 087 188 0008. I'm still trying to remember why Angela said she broke the law. Anyway.
Just think of that. Every time I hear that, I go, what did I say that I said that? I never said I broke the law.
I know. Every time I hear it, I go, when did Angela break the law? Anyway, so Angela...
Niall, before you continue, I'd like to say something if you don't mind. Angela, my dear, I will be eternally grateful until the day I die for you standing up for me the other day. I just want to say thank you very much for that.
Oh, Jesus.
You're very welcome.
It's like a love-in or something like that. It's, for people who don't know, the two of them are on the podcast defending each other again.
Respect.
I swear, all of a sudden there's a newfound love between the two of them. Sorry, yeah. Niamh, just getting back to what Angela said there. Somebody said to me here, would you ask Niamh, would she have a problem if I had a wee in front of her if I was desperate?
Why are people comparing all these things? You're feeding a child.
They're natural.
You're feeding a child. It is totally and utterly different. As a grown-up, I presume you can walk the few yards to the bathroom. The child can't get up and make its own dinner. It is totally and utterly dependent on the mother. And if the mother is choosing to breastfeed...
Well, can't she?
Yes, she can. Yes, she can. But at the end of the day...
That's all we're asking.
It isn't like... You know, the way this is being put across, it's like the woman's stripped down to her waist, put the child on, let the other one just fly free. You know, at the end of the day, you see so little when a child is latched on. The child's head covers most of it, unless she's Katie Price.
Yeah, but Niamh, but you know what I think you're not getting is it's making people uncomfortable. And you can't take that away. If it makes somebody feel uncomfortable, it makes a lot of people apparently feel uncomfortable. I guarantee if you take a poll of men, of how many men feel uncomfortable, it'll be a high percentage of them. And women, because Angela...
I think you're wrong, actually, Steve. I think most men would be embarrassed to say it makes them feel uncomfortable because they feel it shouldn't. Because they feel it shouldn't make them feel uncomfortable.
Okay, lads.
Okay, but I'll tell you what. I'll do a little poll here, okay? You can text, by the way, 087 188 0008 or WhatsApp. WhatsApp is better. Do you feel uncomfortable by the sight of a breastfeeding woman? Now, when I say a breastfeeding woman, where you can actually see something, does it make you feel uncomfortable, right? Just WhatsApp the word yes or no. And let's take a little poll to keep Steve happy here. So,
hang on. There'll be women. That's going to be a lot of women texting in as
well. Whatever, either. It doesn't bloody matter. Yeah, sorry, Angela. Quick, I've got to Josh. He's waiting ages.
Can I just say something here, right?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, Niamh, kind of the way this is going to come out. It's not like a woman puts a child on the boob and that's it, it's done. There can be a lot of fiddling around. There can be moving it this way. There can be moving it that way. A lot can be shown before the child even latches on. You know, and if it doesn't work on that side, we have to go and try on the other side. This is what I'm saying.
But you can take it to its natural conclusion as well, though, Angela. That at the end of the day, breasts are first and foremost for feeding the young. Yes, secondly, they're sexual organs. So if you're viewing this from a sexual point of view, it's making me feel uncomfortable because I look at these as a sexual organ.
Neither me or Angela are saying that.
If you fed your for argument's sake, this is going to sound ridiculous, but bear with me. If you could feed your child from your elbow, no one would have an issue.
Correct.
It's just because it's a boob and we see boobs as sexual. That's all. It's us having the issue.
Niamh, people are coming on here saying, oh, it's a natural thing. Oh, let it do it. If it is like that, why would it be such a big thing to put a shawl over you?
Stay there for a second. Thank you, Niamh, by the way, because I'm going to have to clear up that line now because, unfortunately, see, here's the situation. Angela and Steve, you're pretty much on your own here on this one. Let me go to Josh. Josh, hi, how are you? Because I'm looking at the WhatsApp poll, by the way, Steve, and I'm seeing a lot of no. I see one yes in there. One yes so far. Male here, he says.
Lawyer.
I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. Sorry, Josh, go ahead.
Hi, Niall. How are you?
How you doing, Josh?
Not too bad. Look, me and my partner, we have an 8-month-old child ourselves. Now, obviously, she didn't go down the route of breastfeeding due to previous complications. But would I have an issue with it? The answer is no. At the end of the day, you know, that child is being fed the same as you would be in a restaurant. Now, I've worked in the hospitality industry and that for numerous years, and I've never had anybody ever come over and complain about a woman breastfeeding a child in the restaurant at all. And you know, there is children out there that probably won't take onto a bottle, but would take onto the breast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there is, you know,
I don't think anybody has an issue. I don't think anyone has an issue per se. Just taking up Angela and Steve's argument with breastfeeding in a public place, be it a restaurant or a bar, whatever it happens to be, or the lobby of a hotel, as was with the Hilton Hotel in London going back a few years ago when there was the big hoo-ha over it, right? It was the problem in that particular case that the concierge, say for example, come over and ask the lady, would she, and he actually gave her a shawl and said, would she use a shawl? In other words, people have an issue if you don't make some effort to use decorum. Isn't that what they're saying?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes, I understand that. But now, how would you feel if somebody came over to you and said, "I don't like the way you're eating. Here's a shawl, stick that over your head."
We're not eating with our genitalia.
That really is stupid. Now, that's the most.
Actually, here's one for you. Now, here's one for you, Josh. Let me ask you this question. Let's say you're sitting across from Angela, and you're in a restaurant. And Angela whips out the 2 Norks, plops them down on the table and starts eating her dinner. Would you feel uncomfortable?
If she was just knocking them out on the table, then yeah. Probably.
Yeah, and just knocking them out on the table.
Yeah, but that's if she's knocking them out on the table. But she's not knocking them out on the table and not when she's breastfeeding a child. You know, the child's entitled to eat the same as you. And, you know, like I said to AJ,
when you go home.
I have an 8-month-old now. And, not, you know, yes, we stick to a routine and not where we can. But there is times there where the child won't take a bottle.
What I'm trying to get to, Josh, what I'm trying to get to
is... take the bottle at 1 o'clock. And not, but we'll come looking for it at 2 o'clock if you was to sit down.
Yeah, it's not. See, the point he's making, Steve, it's not always about. You said, why couldn't you do it before or do it after? With a baby, it's not always about a schedule. There is no schedule.
Bullshit. Of course, there's a schedule.
No, not when you're breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is very different.
Niall, it depends on how good of a parent you are. Absolutely.
No, it's nothing to do with how good of a parent. It depends on how quick your body produces milk, right? And let's not go into the whole details, and I'm sure women understand this more than anything else. But you know, when you have a young baby, you're meant to give it, say, 4.
I have one.
Yeah, okay. Well, you're meant to. What's it? 4 grams or milligrams of milk per 4 hours or whatever. 4 hours. Then it goes up to 6 and all that kind of carry on, right? Depending on how old the baby is, right? But when you're boob feeding a baby, you don't know how much it's getting. So what happens is the baby invariably doesn't have the same type of timing as a baby that's on a bottle.
Well, I'm sure when the baby's full, it's full.
What's that mean?
Well, I'm sure it'll stop sucking when it's full.
Yeah, or when it gets tired.
Yeah.
So maybe it gets tired sucking at sort of 2 o'clock. She goes out to a restaurant at 4 o'clock. Baby wakes up hungry. What's she going to do?
Well, the point is, you're not 20 hours away from your house.
What, you want her to go home and feed the baby and come back?
Yes. Look, if she has no shawl, absolutely. Go home, feed the baby, or put it in a bloody bottle. There's no harm in pumping it. There's no scientific evidence saying that pumping is a bad thing. And
women will make the claim, obviously, that breastfeeding is all about not just feeding the baby, but bonding with the baby as well.
No, that's bullshit. So the people who don't breastfeed aren't bonding.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry, Josh, obviously your other half wanted to breastfeed but couldn't due to other complications. Yeah. But, I mean, do you get the point these two Egypts are making? I couldn't think of a better word to describe it. That, a bit of decorum will go a long way. That's what the person in the email said as well.
Well, you just want to see knockers. That's what you do.
A bit of decorum will go a long way, Josh.
But, okay, I understand. There is items out there and not for covering up and not a child.
Well, then you're agreeing with them. You're agreeing with them, aren't you?
No, because at the end of the day, and they shouldn't have to use these. They shouldn't have to use these shoals to cover up. At the end of the day, it's only natural, the same as you eating.
Mm.
But Josh, can I ask you, when you say you're in hospitality, and so are you saying that all the women that were breastfeeding had no shawls on?
No, I have had women that have covered up with a shawl. I've also had women that have not covered up.
But
has anybody ever come over and mentioned it to me?
No, because you know why? The men are too embarrassed. They're way too embarrassed to say anything. Trust me, I've been in that situation. I was sitting across from a lady in a doctor's surgery.
Look, one at a time. Sorry, Steve, finish what you're saying.
I was sitting in a doctor's surgery and a woman whipped out her WAP, and the child, in fairness, looked like it was about 2 years of age. It was the first thought was, holy crap, you're a bit old to be on the diddy. But he was being fed in the doctor's surgery in front of me, and that made me terribly uncomfortable. I didn't know which way to look, because it's like car crash TV. You're going to stare at it, even if you're not into it. You're going to kind of stare at it, and then you turn away and, did they think I was looking at them? And I'm not going to go over and say to that woman, put your diddies away, you're making people uncomfortable. Why do you keep laughing every time I say diddy?
Because it's a word I only heard when I was 9 years of age in school. That's why. I'm surprised you're using it. Could you not use the word breast, no?
No, I say boob.
By the way, somebody texted and says Steve is a proper sap. Another person, by the way, a female, said, if I was in a restaurant, yes, I would prefer a lady to be discreet.
There you go.
Now, there you go.
So what, you're not a lady if you're not discreet?
No,
exactly.
You're not a lady if you don't be discreet.
So where does this leave us now? When we have, the Senator Barry Ward has called, he said, we must normalise this in public spaces and that men play a vital role in the shift by supporting partners, relatives, colleagues and people in public breastfeeding.
I guarantee you, I promise you this much. If you were to get 100 men and, it was all anonymous, and to ask them, are they comfortable? They're going to say 98% of them will say no.
No, you're wrong.
Guarantee
no,
it.
you're actually...
No, I'm telling you.
Well, your poll is anonymous, and I'm looking at it here, and AJ can add them up if she wants to go to the trouble. But a quick glance on the poll will tell you that most people said they don't feel uncomfortable by it.
No.
I'm going to do a bit of research here.
What was the question you asked, though, now?
The question was, would you feel uncomfortable if somebody took out their, as he called them, WAPs in a restaurant or a public place? To feed a baby, obviously.
To feed a baby.
It's also indecent exposure.
It's not indecent exposure.
Part of it is a 634 fine or 6 months in prison.
Breastfeeding is not against the law. We just stop out of that.
If you take your
boobies out.
Yeah, if you're getting your north out.
Okay, well, let me go to Helen. Helen, hi, how are you?
Hello, Niall. Good evening. How are you?
Good. Are you listening to these two? It's like the Punch and Judy show.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, Dumb and Dumber. There you go. Sorry, Helen, would you feel uncomfortable if a woman was breastfeeding in a restaurant, if you and your partner were out having dinner?
Oh, I certainly wouldn't. I wouldn't like it at all.
Oh, you wouldn't like it?
Wouldn't.
No. Okay.
No, I know. Huh?
Oh, no, so she's on your side, lads. Give her a chance. Go ahead, Helen. Sorry.
No, I wouldn't. I couldn't. I would feel very uncomfortable. I'll be honest with you. I would.
Right. But
a lady.
But Helen, it is like, and I'm quoting here, the most natural thing in the world.
Well, it is but there's a time and a place for everything, Niall. In all fairness.
Yeah, well, you say a time and a place, but sometimes the baby dictates the time and place, doesn't it?
Yeah, hold on a minute. You see, you can, if you're going out with the baby, you have the breast milk ready in the bottle, and you just,
yeah,
you have it ready. I mean, you don't take your boob out in the middle of a restaurant. I couldn't do it. I breastfed my kids, and I'm going back a long time, but there is no way could I do it. I wouldn't do it. No, I'd feel very embarrassed.
So how did you, if you were breastfeeding your children at the time, if you remember, how did you avoid not doing it in public unless you stayed in the house all day?
Well, you see, in those days, it was completely different. I'm going back 50 years.
You probably did stay in the house all day.
No, I didn't actually. No, I didn't. It's a matter of organising yourself.
Yeah. So what? In other words, if you were going out somewhere, you'd feed the baby before you'd go, in the hope that the baby would last till you got back.
I would indeed, yes. Or I'd have some breast milk in a bottle.
Felt uncomfortable or embarrassed.
Yeah. Now, can I say something there?
Yes, you can.
Okay, you see, and here we go. This is your total contradiction on terms, because you're saying that, if a baby needs to be fed, it needs to be fed. If you're going somewhere, you have to be ready. What about people who go out at night and leave children with babysitters? What do? Come home and feed them if they need it?
Yeah, exactly.
No, they have a bottle with breast milk in it.
Well, you'll find that a lot of women who are breastfeeding and have a regime of breastfeeding don't go out without the baby. That's the thing. It's a sacrifice they make, isn't it?
Now you're really talking out of your backside. That's bull. So you're telling me that every woman in Ireland that breastfeeds doesn't go out?
Well, they do sacrifice that 3 months. Usually it's 3 to 6 months.
3 months?
3 to 6 months.
3 months?
Yeah, and after that's weird.
6 months.
I'm joking.
No, they don't.
So some people breastfeed up to 3 and 4 years.
Yeah, do you know what I'd like to hear now? Do you know what I would like to hear now, Niall?
Yeah.
I would like to hear you call Helen an idiot.
I wouldn't call Helen an idiot. She's a lady.
No,
well, you called us an idiot.
Steve an idiot.
Helen's a lady, but there's a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you see.
I've a lot of respect for Helen. I've heard the things that you two have come up with on the air, and it hasn't been so nice. Whereas Helen is nothing other than polite. So Helen, I understand, but last week was National Breastfeeding Week, and the senator is calling for women to not be afraid to breastfeed in public places, and that we should all get behind them.
I know. Yes, I was watching them in the news. Actually, some of the ladies were outside. They were being interviewed about it. They were talking about something else. I think I can't remember now.
Yeah.
But they looked very uncomfortable. The babies were just hanging on to them, and I just felt sorry for them. I said, I wouldn't like to be in that situation.
Yeah.
They looked very.
And when was this? At RTE News, was it? I didn't see it. It was RTE News. Was it?
Yeah, it was on the news. I think it was maybe Sky News now.
Yeah.
Did they cover it in Ireland? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Sorry, Angela. Go ahead.
Was he saying, that's it, it's National Breastfeeding Week or International Breastfeeding Week and everyone should get them out and feed their kids? Or is it more he was like, yes, everybody breastfeed?
No, he wasn't saying everyone get them out.
Exactly. Niall, let me ask you a question.
What is a breast for?
Feeding your child.
Yeah, nothing more than that. Now, the fact that we get the fact that men get sexual enjoyment from it is a completely separate issue. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. But Niall. Wednesday, May the 28th, 2025. Do you know what they're going to be celebrating then?
Oh, you're going to tell me it's National Testicular Cancer Week and people should get their willies out. I don't know.
National Masturbation Day.
Oh.
So we'll all whip them out.
Okay, please. There's a lady on the air. Please.
I know I am.
Have a bit of decorum. Have a bit of decorum, the two of you. Helen,
at least I'm not.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Helen, that you're subjected to that by those two clowns.
Sorry, Helen.
Yeah.
No, that's all right. Now you don't know me at all, of course. No.
Helen's probably a nutcase. She's a secret nutcase.
Whoa, Niall, stop the press here. I'm going to go revert back to your podcast today. Within the first 20 seconds of your podcast, you used the word cock.
Oh, stop! That was a podcast. That wouldn't do that on the air.
No, you did.
Oh, I know, yes, but that's different. That's the podcast. The rules don't apply. The same rules don't apply. Helen, thank you very much indeed. You're a pleasure to talk to. Susan, hi, how are you doing?
Hello, good, thank you. How are you?
Good, Susan. I digress slightly, sorry. Getting back to, I suppose, look, breastfeeding is the most natural thing in the world. We all know that. That's a cliche, I suppose, line. Last week was National Breastfeeding Week. Designated to, encouraging women to come out and breastfeed. Ireland, sadly, has one of the lowest rates of breastfeeding, even though we know breast is best. And yet these two are on the air saying it's embarrassing to watch people breastfeeding.
I heard. But I think it's the most natural thing, like you say. Yeah, I breastfed my son. He's 10 now. I breastfed my eldest boy till he was 5.
5? That's called, they call that extended breastfeeding, yeah.
Yeah, but also he's autistic. So it was more of a comfort thing for him.
Oh, okay.
And then I have I have a 2-year-old. She still breastfeeds, and then I have a 1-year-old as well, and he's breastfeeding as well.
Wow.
But my 7-year-old.
Is that awkward for you, by the way? Is that difficult for you?
Well, I don't do anything. You know what I mean? I don't go out. Rugby games come up. I sit at home and watch them because the baby just won't let you go, and that's okay too. It's a great bonding,
I mean, to answer Steve's question, right? So you're going out to a restaurant, Susan, and and let's just say you had one baby, for example, right? Can it not be a case of breastfeeding before you go, timing it, or as Helen said, maybe pumping a bit of milk beforehand and then using that in a bottle, or using it? Even Steve said use a shawl.
Yes, yep. That's a good idea, like using a shawl, but also why would people be looking at you in that? In that way, like it's not.
Men are perverts. Men are absolute perverts.
Baby's hungry. Baby's hungry.
Yeah, sorry, Angela. What are you trying to say there to Susan?
Susan, don't get me wrong now with the way this comes out. But if you're in a restaurant, would you breastfeed your 2-year-old?
No, because she eats food. We don't breastfeed her in public, but the 1-year-old, yeah.
But it's got to be said, if it's the most natural thing in the world, then why not feed her in public?
Because she never wants it in public.
She doesn't want it, or you don't want it.
I've never really had that problem. Yeah, I've never really had that problem with her in public. She's just at home. And then, for bedtime.
Well, no, you just said that she doesn't want to be fed in public, but she's 2. She wouldn't really kind of know the difference.
Well, I think the point that Susan is making is that the 2-year-old, and most likely the 5-year-old, obviously because he has autism, do it as a comfort thing more than anything else. So, but with the 1-year-old, it's for food. So the 2-year-old can sit down in the restaurant and eat like any normal person. Yeah.
But if the 2-year-old wanted to be breastfed in public, would you?
But you're missing the point, Angela. It's not necessary to do it to the 2-year-old or the 5-year-old. They can eat food. But whereas the 1-year-old is different. So the point we're making here is you don't decide when a baby is hungry. A baby decides.
Yeah, so if the 2-year-old wanted to be breastfed in public, would you breastfeed it?
No, she's just told you because a 2-year-old can eat food. It's not necessary. You're not listening.
What are you getting bleeding so angry for?
I'm just saying, put on your listening ears and listen to what Susan is trying to tell you.
Stop screaming at people there, Niall.
You're saying it's a comfort thing.
Yes.
So if the 2-year-old wanted comfort with the breast in public, would she breastfeed the 2-year-old in public?
Most likely, yes.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. There you have your answer, Angela.
We're all happy.
So, Angela, you're sitting in the restaurant. Susan is there, and hypothetically, her 2-year-old wants a bit of comfort, and Susan breastfeeds her in public. Are you getting up and going? Would you be put off your beef stroganoff, as you said earlier on?
No, he was eating beef stroganoff. That's why I said it. I'd probably be having chicken curry or something.
Okay, would you be put off your chicken curry? Would you be out the door? Would you complain?
You wouldn't want to be drinking milkshakes, would you?
Yes, absolutely. Niall, a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
It's a comfort thing, yes, I know. It's not very often you would hear of a child that age breastfeeding.
No, it's called extended breastfeeding. Yes, no, it is unusual. It's less common. Yes, it's called extended breastfeeding. Yeah.
Niall, I know it's top of the hour. Niall, I know it's top of the hour. You're going to tell us all to fuck off now in a second. But I want to ask you.
I'm not. I do have to go to the news in a second. Yeah, but go on.
But I want to ask you a question. I want you to be 100% honest to all your fans out there, all 2 of them. Right? What I want you to do, and be honest. I've done it. And a lot of men I know have done it. Have you ever tasted breast milk?
No, I have not.
Yeah, she's not put it in a bottle and go, I wonder what it tastes like.
No.
It's vile. It's like coconut milk.
Okay, right. I've never tasted it. No, maybe when I was a baby I did or something like that. I don't know. Susan, thank you very much indeed for your decorum. And by the way, Susan, in relation to what they said, do you think that women should make an effort at least to cover up?
Yes.
There you go.
Thank you, Susan. And I don't mean to offend you, Susan. I really don't mean to offend you when I was asking those questions. So please
That's
don't.
That's okay. No offence taken.
I don't think Susan's the type that would take offence, by the way, can I just point out? By the way, Ireland, we do need to be ashamed of ourselves when it comes to breastfeeding. Susan, I can't help but notice, obviously, you don't have an Irish accent. Where are you originally from?
I'm from New Zealand.
Okay, and in New Zealand, what's the uptake on breastfeeding like over there? Do many women breastfeed comparison to Ireland?
A lot of women breastfeed. There's breast milk banks over there. So if a mum can't breastfeed but she wants to, women donate their milk to these places.
Wet nurses, yeah,
and it's actually quite a common thing over there.
Yeah, I believe they make quite a substantial amount of money too, by the way, these people who are wet.
Now, real people, real opinions. Nighttime Talk with Niall Boylan.
Ireland's Classic Hits Radio.